Somebody's here. Oh, Carol. Morning, Carol.
Well, I'm a minute early, I guess. I
Well,
didn't think I was early, but
you're first.
of course.
Well, I guess neither Bill Nagel or Joanne will be here today.
Uh,
So just
Bill Nagel was,
he's in Turkey.
that's right, yes.
Yeah, in
Did he say
Istanbul.
why Turkey?
His wife really wanted to see Istanbul for some reason. Um,
Oh,
I I don't know why particularly. Bill had been there, had been to Turkey before, and but he was said he would enjoy going again, and so that's where they are. There are other places I would have chosen first, but
yeah, yeah. And being a person that doesn't hasn't traveled much and not really wanted to particularly, it's certainly not the place I'd choose to go.
there are some others I would choose first. I mean, I've of course had my trips to China, but
Yes.
I haven't. Other than that, I haven't really traveled
Yeah.
in this country, and I've been into Canada, but that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been in Canada, obviously, and I've been to Hawaii,
Uh-huh.
and that was great. Shelley and I went.
Yes, I know. That was a great trip.
It was a great trip.
I miss Shell.
Yeah,
How's Craig doing?
I don't know. I haven't called him to
Do you
see how
have
he's.
do you have his number?
It's the same. He just uses the house number, the Shelley's number.
Oh, okay. Not yeah, okay.
He's I think he does have a computer, but I'm
Hmm.
not sure he pays any attention to it. He certainly doesn't have a cell phone unless
Oh, okay.
he's decided that he was pretty adamant about not having such a thing.
Okay.
So so
I can approve of that. That's
yeah.
fine.
Well, I find our cell phone very useful.
Oh yeah. Indeed. Um, I'm,
Possibly more for the computer aspect of it than for the phone aspect of it,
oh,
but a little bit of both.
yeah. Well, my ability to use the phone that way is getting less and less
Mm.
because of my eyes.
Yeah.
So, but I do some certainly do some communicating by phone. Um,
Yeah, I find text handy.
it is. It is. Morning, Bill.
Morning, David. Well, Carol.
Morning, Bill.
How are you this morning?
I'm good. I was
Good.
intending to be early, and then Zoom decided to update itself.
Oh,
Oh, yes. Well, Zoom decides to do a lot of things all of a sudden.
yeah. I've started using Zoom on John's MacBook because it's a much newer machine, and Zoom
Ah,
was just I had it uninstalled off mine. Mine is an old PC, and it doesn't like the new software.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
isn't it grand what they force you to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right. We're owned by our machines
Yeah. Well,
and our other possessions as well. So,
I I resisted going to Windows 11 for a long time, and then I went to Windows 11 and created all kinds of problems,
yes.
including not being able to use some of the software I'd had before, and finding that there's not even any replacements
Yeah.
for them.
There's
Uh,
not. There is a way that you can simulate that you're running Windows 10 and run your old software.
oh,
But
really?
yeah, if you just Google it, there's lots of instructions about how to do that.
Oh, okay.
If you
If
still
you
have it
really want
installed,
to, huh?
if you
No,
still
you
have
don't
the old
have to have it
software
installed. It's Windows
installed.
11 running on Windows 10 simulator. So it's in
Ah,
there. You just have to know how to do it.
okay. Well, I'll have to look that up. Because I have one program that I really would like to have back.
Yeah.
So it's just the two of you today. Um, Bill Nagel's in Turkey, um, and Joanne. Is she in Washington?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
PC?
DC.
yeah.
It's
So
a conference on land trusts, I think.
yeah.
Oh, good.
So you two can drag out all your questions.
Okay, good.
So let's begin with that.
All of our questions? That's
Yes.
a big.
Every single one.
Well, the question that's been on my mind lately is about the 70%. But I
Uh-huh.
don't have a sense of what that really means because physically, 5 and 6 are big. The reason, 6 especially. So it's not physical. That so 70% of what, and what would 100% look like so I can know that I'm at 70%.
So
So
the
it's not, I don't have a good sense of what that really means.
so you're absolutely right that principally we're looking for 70% internally,
Mhm.
because you condensing is talking about condensing energy. It does result in some relatively minor changes in the movement, but the first thing is to get the sense that you have condensed the energy, and then that you're not doing 70% of the energy, of the total energy. You have reduced your energy, not reduced your energy, but reduced its appearance by 30%, but increased its intensity. And the movement in 5 and 6, the change in the movement really is that it's not that those circles aren't occurring, because certainly they are, but the amount of twisting and bending reduces slightly. And I don't think you're really going to 70% of 70%. You're reducing it slightly, and one of the differences, when you condense, in terms of the movement, is that there is not it is not as much bending. I mean, it's there, but you're not. It's different. For instance, if we look at 5 and 2, in as a matter of fact, maybe I should demonstrate what I'm trying to say to you here. Let's see. Can I get in a way that... So, if I do this from the side, so that when you're doing 2, clearly, notice where the arms are traveling. Now they're not coming here, which is 5. They're coming here, which is 2. But they're working a little bit further away from the body. When you get into 5 or 6, they don't have as much bending and extending. They have some, but instead of being as fully extended as you can without becoming locked, there is a slight less amount of bend in the movement. I don't know whether you can see that or not, but the most important part of this is what's happening with the energy. The movement, as I say, changes slightly, but it's really in feeling the condensing of the energy. I don't know, does that help you?
Some.
Um, I think but as I said, to just be aware that you are doing a little bit less bending and extending in 5 and 6. That's not the focus. In certainly in 2 and 3 and 4, the movements are larger. Because 5 and 6 have those arm circles, it's a little difficult to see the difference. But it is a difference in that you're not in 2, you're not going here, but you're going pretty far out. In 5, it's just not quite as far. It's a little less. But the focus is what you're doing with the energy.
And so, are you sending less energy out on the outer parts? I mean, well, 5 is focusing on bringing it in and raising it. Or at least I am.
In this, yeah, pulling it up the
And
center.
6 is bringing it in and lower and dropping it.
You also have the raising part of it too, but
Yeah, the raising.
or sinking.
I got arms on this thing. Okay, raising, and then
Sinking.
and then sinking.
Yeah. So what you're endeavoring to do is to increase the power of the energy. So it is more focused internally. If you think about 2, 3, and 4, all have a really particular external element to them. But 5 and 6 are really focused on moving principally internally. And 7 is even more internal.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. I think, or asking about. I think the thing is not to be too concerned about the physical movement. Not to overthink it, but indeed to allow it to reduce slightly, but to keep the focus on trying to move the energy as deeply as possible through the center and left and right channels.
I think possibly for me, using the light is glaring on my glasses. It's very distracting.
Oh,
I won't look at me. I'll try not to look. No, yours is fine. I've got these squares in front of my eyes.
Yeah, I'm seeing the squares too, but
Yeah.
you look very digital.
Anyway, I think saying 70% triggers the math part of my brain. And so I'm looking for the math part of it. And
yeah.
that's not the part that needs to be triggered.
No.
So condensing um, says it better for me.
Don't, yeah, don't worry about the percentage.
Yeah, the percentage. Oh,
Um, you,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That,
Don't
that,
worry
that,
about
that's
the percentage. Just condense.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
sure. Bill?
Yeah, well on those same two, three, four are bigger because they have elements of the qua and sinking and folding. And with five and six, I'm thinking about just the C curve and the movement in terms of the mechanics side of it. Uh, I mean, the C curve, open and close, and that drives a little bit more movement, but not a lot more physical movement. And that's what I'm remembering from early on, and our first year of doing this.
Um, I'm not sure I completely understand what you're saying. Um, the 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 movement of the spine, the C curve, is subtly smaller in 5 and 6 than it is in 2, 3, and 4.
Yes, yeah, the whole thing is smaller
Okay.
physically, and the energy is in the central channel. Uh,
Yeah. Um, you're definitely not bending the legs and qua as much as you do in 2, 3, and 4.
yeah, the legs and the qua are part of two, three, and four.
Yeah.
I think of it, and they to the extent that they happen, it's only as a result. The way I'm thinking about it as the C curve causes a little bit of tiny bit of that, but not very much.
Well, it.
There's a bit of a sink. There's a little bit of a sink just from doing the C curve, just because your spine curves a little, so your
Yeah.
top of your head's a little bit lower, and that's pretty much it. But the bottom part of the C curve does sort of make your knees bend slightly.
Yep. The as long as you don't go forward with it.
Right.
I mean, when I say go forward, uh, push the knees forward.
Mhm.
So, as with most of our movements, I mean, there is clearly some forward movement of the knees, but basically you're thinking of trying to drop the sacrum when the knees and the qua bend, not go forward with it.
Right. Right. Now in five uh versus two, there's more of a weight shift forward and back in two than in five. I think. Is that right?
I, yes, I would think so. And you're not sinking and rising as much in five as you do in two.
But there's some.
There's some, but it is definitely less.
Yeah, I mean, two can be really, really deep if you choose to do it that way.
It can be really deep if you choose if you're able to do it that way without um, ending up not being able to complete the whole flow.
Anyway, like if you can get down but not up, that doesn't
Yeah,
count, right?
doesn't work too well. Any other questions?
Um, well, three is my question.
Uh huh.
It's one thing that you said within the past 4 or 5 sessions was, we don't want to be coming up when we get to 6 and 9. We just want to be going out. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep continuous movement with that. And it's the so if I'm going to my left towards 3, uh, then when I get around to the 9 side, then I'm coming up to get back into the center. But I'm not really coming up much because I'm actually going from the stretching out back into the C curve. But it's I'm not down as much as I am, of course, in 6 when I'm at 12. So keeping that
Mhm.
moving and feeling that I've been playing with what is the difference between like a rising through coming from 12 to 3 versus coming uh, from 6 to 3. So
Well,
what's the
there.
difference?
Yeah. It definitely is a
Mm.
different movement because one you're coming down, the other one you're going up, and it
Right.
causes it's much easier to round the going up movement than it is the coming down one.
Well, at 12, you're doing two seemingly opposite things
Yes,
because you're rising, but you're adding the C curve.
yes,
And on 3 and 9, you're not rising, but you're straightening the C curve.
yes.
So 6 is golden because you're doing both.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Six
like
is the
saying,
easy
"Oh yeah,
spot.
I know how to do this." I've been focusing on 12 mostly because it's so okay. What is it that's rising, and
So,
what is it that's C curving to make this happen? Because I
yeah,
think of the C curve as sort of a sink, but it's not certainly not there.
no, and and that's one of the things we have to remember in both Qigong and Tai Chi, that there are places where we do opposites. Things are not always in the I, I started to say common sync,
Yeah.
the way we think about it basically.
Mm.
The one of the places I think about is in the Master Joe's Eight Gates training. The second time you do the S curve, you're turning in one direction, and the S curve is going through that. and it is for some people really hard to get that because you're doing two opposite movements simultaneously. And that's exactly what's happening at 12.
Mhm.
And so, one of the things, I was thinking, I was thinking about this the other day, is it's important not to make your 12 position too high. So, in other words, you have a choice about what your circle or oval movement looks like and how far up you go. If you go clear up into full upright position on 12, it's very hard to do a C curve. It's really impossible. But if you make that 12 position the top of your circle or oval, but not so high that you lock the C curve out, then it becomes not easy, but it is possible. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
I think so. Sort of.
I'm interpreting. I mean, I think about moving, the lower dantian and a circle is doing that, and when it's up at the top, uh, like there's almost no qua fold there, but I can do a C curve with or without the qua fold happening, and there's more of a qua fold at
At 6.
6.
Sure.
Yeah. So isn't that where the elevation changes? How much of a quaffle there is for 6 versus 12, or is it more that I
Well,
wouldn't quite follow what you were
it,
just saying. So
both the qua and the knees are bending, yes. So, um, I'm deliberately keeping this close so that, and I'll turn sideways in a moment. But yeah, I mean, what you're trying to find is how you can create this circular movement and when you get here, you're not here, you're here. You have to make sure you don't come up too high, because what I was saying was when you get up, if you come fully up, then to try to get a C curve, you're locking up to get a C curve. If you're here, then you can get a C curve without forcing the body. It can bend there, and so in order to make that 12 o'clock position work, it's important not to rise too high.
mhm.
Does that?
Yeah, that makes sense. Another thing that makes it difficult is when we're extended at either 3 or 6 to be going into that C curve gradually, so that when you get to 12, you're in it, and when you're at, you know, uh, 10:30 or 9:30 or whatever it is, halfway in between, you're
So
halfway into the transition.
so when you've gone out here,
So
as you're going up, you're immediately starting into the C curve, and you're continuing the C curve all you're doing more and more C curve all the way to here, and then going back into the C curve, right?
Right. And that's one of the things, that's another thing that isn't too distant past of correcting for us is I I think I at least was when I go to 12, that would be the end of going into the C curve for me, but doing what you just described
Yeah,
along
I, I,
along with twisting and so forth.
yeah,
Yeah.
as clearly I follow what Bruce suggested in how to teach this, and he teaches it that way that you that when you begin, you really just make it four positions, and you complete at each one. But in reality, what the movement really is what we're working on now. That after you have extended at 9, then you are coming in all the way until you get to 3, where you extend. So it's
Uh,
I understand what you're saying, and I'm not sure. In retrospect, were I to teach this again, I'm not sure I would do the preliminary stage the way we did.
well, it changes everything with the breathing.
Oh yeah,
Everything is different.
and the
And it feels more powerful, for sure.
oh yeah,
When
and
you're
that is the intention to bring more energy into the kidney and the spleen, and then to more powerfully exhale, send out the any used um, energy at that point. So yeah, it is a much more powerful movement than just going out in. Yeah, absolutely, and that's intentional, clearly.
Mhm.
And the on the sides, that's when you're straightening the C curve, releasing the C curve,
Straightening,
straightening.
because you are you have brought in all the energy you into the to say into the kidney or into the liver, and then you're sending out whatever used energy there is, would be one way to look at it.
Mhm. Yeah.
Is there a name for not the C curve? I mean, I think of the C curve is I'm expanding the back of the spine vertebrae,
Well,
and then
the actual name of the movement, the translation is bend the bow and shoot the arrow,
So it's the bending the bow is the C and the shooting the arrow
is the straightening.
is the straightening.
releasing the.
Yep.
So that makes sense because I mean, that image, when you release, that's happens much more quickly than the drawing back to.
Yeah.
You're building up potential energy.
And the thing is that the pace of that is continually oscillating, if you will. You have very slow coming in, and then the going out is it increases subtly because you're increasing the power of the exhale of the sending out.
The detail you corrected that made a big difference was I was going from the side coming up and bringing my hands closer together, and
Mm,
you said be sure you keep them the same distance apart.
Yep.
And another thing I always have to pay attention to is my instinct is to have my hands uh, a lot closer to my body than I think you do. And when you expand it more, that helps the
Yep.
energy flow as well.
It does, and that's, you have to find that distance that works for you. I mean, it's related, since we have gone into gone into a practice with the etheric body again, the etheric field. That's what you're endeavoring to find. Where is that range that you function most powerfully with the hands out in the etheric body, but the etheric body functioning within the physical body? So it's a you're 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 certainly looking for that connection of the etheric body and where your movements are most powerful within it, because they tend to decrease when you get too close to the body, or they can decrease if you get too extended. So there is I mean, that's one place where being aware of what the arms and hands are doing is very important, but we have to remember not to make that the whole focus. That's not the only thing we're doing here. Did that help you, Bill? Is that
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah. I think yes, that definitely helps.
other questions at the moment?
I think I should have a question about 7, but I don't know what it is.
Well,
So no.
well, think about it again, and maybe by next week you'll have the answer to what is that
Yes.
question. So, what I'd like to do is do that etheric body practice again, with you flowing
Are
through
you going
the.
to narrate again and record?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
For the full flow for the 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So if you'll stand. And I want you to really just take a little bit of time here to let yourself be aware of where you are standing. Become present with your connection to the earth. And to the universe. Allow yourself to go into as close to Wuji as you can. That sense of emptiness, which is not nothingness, but full openness, receptivity. Letting the breath lengthen and smooth. And then beginning movement 2. When you're ready, no rush. So as you begin, you want to recognize how your hands are affecting your etheric body. And as you do that, just feel your skin and make sure your skin is okay with doing this. It's important if your physical energy body is objecting or accepting doing this. Being aware of your first energy body, indicating that it's okay. And then make sure your etheric field is stable, all the way to its end below your feet, beyond the tips of your fingers and above your head. Now, as we move into working with the etheric body, if it's stable, once your hands moving up and down, just start activating the etheric sphere of your etheric body around you. So it's going to be what's ahead of you, what's in back of you, what's to the left and right sides. But as you do this, you must keep the 5 points stable all the time at the boundary of your etheric body. Just be sure you are stabilizing the 5 points. From those 5 points, allow your body to become aware of the etheric field around you. And as you become aware of the etheric field, notice if you feel any blockages anywhere, so that either by smoothness of your movement or by dissolving them, you get rid of those blockages. And now focus on the etheric river underneath your skin, the Wei Qi. And make that etheric river and the feeling of the etheric body outside of your physical body become one. Two different things, but each is the extension of the other. And it doesn't matter which one is first and which one is second. And you're doing your best to make it as smooth as possible and releasing any blockages inside your body. Now you could dissolve everything that's inside of your etheric field outside of you. Or you could dissolve the etheric river underneath your skin, the Wei Qi. Or any way you want to do it, as long as you're releasing anything blocking your etheric field either outside or inside your skin. Now, if your mind gets very quiet, very stable, and very inside of you, you can start thickening the etheric field. This will enable you to recognize what's blocked more easily. And by the steady movement through your etheric field, cause the etheric field to get stronger. And eventually this will translate to having the ability to get your etheric field to extend further and further away from your 5 points. Make sure you have each of the separate elements integrated into each of the separate movements. Keep in mind, you're one coherent whole, and that is how you want to approach doing God's playing in the clouds. And that doesn't occur because you're constantly going through checklists. It occurs because something doesn't feel right, and your mind will get naturally drawn to which of the 5 extremities is not doing what it's supposed to do. And so the next thing is you want your mind to start going inside of your etheric field to connect whatever it is that is broken your whole body sense of yourself. Maybe it will be what your physical body is doing, or your etheric body, or your central channel, or your left and right channels. Or maybe it will be the yin and yang twistings, or the lengthening, or opening and closing. Or maybe it will be how you're breathing. But to the best of your ability, connect and correct them. If you're doing all of those parts together, then it just gradually dawns on you how to do it. When it's happening all at once, you want to keep it happening all at once, all the time. So how was that? Do you have a sense of your etheric field?
I think it's bigger than the bigger physical movements for me.
Is,
And I lose the sense when we get to 5, 6, and 7, I don't have as big of an awareness of it.
that's too bad.
It's probably there.
I'm sorry?
It's probably there, but yeah.
I'm sure it is. Um, actually, it probably eventually will expand when you get to 5, 6, and 7.
And well, I think part of what happens is my uh, low back issues get more present.
Uh, so maybe you should do less repetitions, you know, because we have to respect our bodies. And if you get into pain in doing 20, then it would be better to do 10 or 12 or 14 repetitions than to do 20 and not go into pain, so you can keep present with what you're doing. So that's something you have to determine. I can't do that for you. Any other questions or thoughts?
My sense of the etheric body is not as great at 7. Possibly because we're still figuring out what's going on at 7, or
I think that's true.
yeah, and the transition into 7 and the breathing of that. Um, We've done an exhale and then an inhale, and now we're done with 6. But you said 7 starts on an exhale, but I've got to get up to the top of 7.
So
So
you have you have when you come down and you complete 6,
yeah.
what have you done there?
The 6 is an inhale down.
You know, inhale down, and then you can take the exhale and inhale to prepare
Okay.
for 7. So what you're doing is forming the crane neck, and preparing to go into that. It's not that you're not doing anything.
Okay. Yeah, because that's kind of what I do, but I feel, well, and aren't I stopping here? I don't want to stop, but
So keep the energy moving.
yeah. Okay. Duh. Okay.
No, no judgment.
Yeah, no, just
Okay, well, thank you.
thank you, David.
Good class. Good questions, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure all of this will benefit the others when they see it. And today is the beginning of a new session.
Okay.
Yes, I saw your email. As they say, checks in the mail.
Okay. Thanks, Bill. Great. See you next week.
See you. Bye.
And I can't say I have any form questions at this point. That's always better in person.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't have to.
And I do need to run off and buy John some bananas so he can take his pills this morning.
Okay. I love bananas. Okay. Well, thank you.
And see you next week.
See you next week.
Hopefully in person.
I hope so. Take care. Have a good week.
Thank you. You too.
Okay. Bye.